Would you consider yourself a high-level entrepreneur? Now, most likely, if you're listening to this, you definitely are. And what I've heard over and over and over again is it's hard to find like-minded people that are like that too. Again, I'm from Maine, so I totally understand how difficult it can be. Thank goodness I have an amazing online community, so I know tons of them. And that is exactly why we are starting this brand new mastermind group with high-level, like-minded entrepreneurs, the ones that you can go alongside with that will help move you to the next level, let alone with kick butt coaching from me, because I like to slap you around, both on focus and on strategy. So if you're looking to double or triple this year, which I know most of you are, I want you to go ahead and apply and see if it's a good fit for you. I will totally tell you if it's not and if I wouldn't do it if I were you. But go to eventualmillionaire.com/apply. We are looking for amazing, like-minded entrepreneurs. My previous mastermind members have told me it is life changing. So take the time today, fill out the very quick application, and we'll see if it's a fit. Take care.
Potent advice and inspiration from real self-made millionaires. Welcome to the Eventual Millionaire with your host, Jamie Masters.
Welcome to Eventual Millionaire. I'm Jamie Masters, and I'm so excited to have Marisa Peer on the show. You can check her out at marisapeer.com. She's a best-selling author, speaker. She's an amazing hypnotherapist, and I'm so excited to dive in today. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
You are in such a transformational industry. I so appreciate you diving deeper into how our brains actually function. But what I really actually wanted to get down to was the rapid transformational therapy. So can you tell me a little bit about what that piece is?
Yes, it's my own therapy that I created after being a therapist for 30 years. Sounds like a lifetime. I guess it is, but I love being a therapist. But I realized very quickly what clients want and what they don't want. And what they don't really want is to go to someone every Wednesday and talk about their feelings, because initially talk therapy makes you feel good because someone's listening, but then it doesn't actually work. There's something called Hebb's principle that says that long talk therapy doesn't work. So I realized long ago my clients want results. They want to get better fast. If you have excruciating headaches, you'd want to get over them quickly. And if you have excruciating emotional pain, it's no different. You want to be over it fast. No one says I need to go and talk about my headaches every week for 5 years to learn to live with my headaches. No one says I need to talk about my gum disease every week. They go, no, I got to get that infection out of there and feel free of the pain. And emotions are no different. So clients want to be over their pain quickly. And so for me, I created an amazing therapy. It's rapid. It is definitely transformational. And in 1 to 3 sessions, it will fix people, fix them emotionally, physically, financially, romantically. And it's just a technique that I learned. And I really learned it from my own clients. I learned what worked. And then people asked me to teach my method. And because I was voted the best therapist, so people were like, I'm going to have the best therapy. So I spent a long time creating a technique that could be replicated by people I train. And indeed, what's happening is people that trained in my method are getting results every bit as good as mine, amazing results, because the technique is something you can replicate. I call it the formula for success. And when you train with me, I teach you a step-by-step formula. It's not painting by numbers, but it says you do this, and then you do this, and then you do that, and then you do that. And you ask a question like this, and you form the recording like that. You use these particular words. And it is extraordinary how all over the world people are getting amazing results. And now we've been asked to put our TT into jails, into rehabs, into schools, into hospitals. So it's amazingly exciting how the world is loving our TT.
How did you create that? Because it's one thing to be able to do it, right? And it's another thing to be able to actually make it as a technique to have other people be able to do it. How did you break it down?
I think, well, I learned, I guess with clients, I would always break down the session. People would come in and I do an hour and 15-minute sessions, and they were broken down. You would have 10 minutes, we do a bit of intake, 20 minutes of going back and having a look at what went on. And then I had what I called the interruption. So the way I work is a bit like, first I investigate, what's going on. I never say to people, well, why do you keep eating all those cakes? I say, well, what happened to you? I never say, well, why do you destroy everything? Why do you procrastinate? Why do you self-sabotage? I never say why. I say, let's have a look at what happened. No baby is born saying, I can't resist cakes, or I don't like attention, or I'm no good with conflict, or no baby is born saying, I can't handle money, I'm not worth it. In fact, if you say to any baby, what do you want for Christmas? Well, not the child. They'll say, like my daughter, a Barbie castle, a swimming pool, a horse, and they're not greedy. They have this belief that everything is available to them because in the womb, everything is available. You have 24-hour room service. It's always 75 degrees. There's always someone there. And when babies are born, they love attention. They never think, I shouldn't wake my mum up. She's exhausted. I shouldn't spit out this
Right?
periodically because she spent a lot of money on it. They have that belief, I can have everything. And then the world comes along and tells us lies. Nobody can have it all. That's not true. You can have it all the time. If you have money, your relationship will suffer. That's not true. If you have a great relationship, you'll ruin it if you go to work. If you're a successful businesswoman, your children will suffer. And we're fed these lies. And the biggest one is you can't have it all. And you definitely can't have it all at the same time. And I say, of course you can. You can have an amazing relationship, be an amazing parent, and have a phenomenally successful business. You have to juggle some stuff and balance it. But if you believe you can have it all, you can have it all. So I would go back and investigate, why do you believe that people who pursuing money is the root of evil, that spiritual people shouldn't have money, that if you ask for more, someone else will have less? Where did that come from? When we found that information, when we've done the investigating, then we do a massive interruption. And that's the technique. I learned how to interrupt these beliefs and go, that's not true. May have been true for your grandparents, the belief that if you work for a company, you're set for life. Well, that's not true anymore. You don't make money working for someone else unless you're in a company that recognizes your ability to invent stuff. You make money by monetizing your gifts and your skills. And first, you've got to believe that you have a gift and a skill. And almost everyone does. So you investigate where these negative, disempowering beliefs come from. Then you interrupt them. And then the third eye is what I call the installation, coding into you new beliefs that you can monetize your gifts, that you can ask for what you're worth, that you having more does not mean other people are having less. And in fact, if you having more will benefit other people, and that's a great reason for having more. But we are taught at a very early age, it's greedy to ask for money. It's greedy to want more. Even when, I see this so many times, a little kid in the store and the mum says, go and choose some candy. And back they come with a box and they go, who do you think you are? That's so greedy. Who do you think you are? You're a greedy girl. That's disgusting. You can't have that, or we can't afford that. And, I see many times in stores. I remember being in a shop one Christmas, this little boy was crying because he really wanted this gift. And his mother was saying, we can't afford it. I don't know how to find the money. And that's such an incorrect thing to say. I don't know how to find the money, because you don't find money. You make money by monetizing your gifts. There are many people. We had somebody who wanted to come on our course and she couldn't afford it. She did something very clever. She pre-sold sessions to everyone in her community. So she didn't find the money. She didn't go ahead and try and crowdsource the money. She said, I'll sell the sessions in advance. And lo and behold, she came on the course and she's done really, really well. But it's this crazy conditioning we have. My brother went to a private school, fee-paying school, and I went to a free school. And I noticed even at an early age, he would come home and his workbook would say, you have 8 businesses. And if you sell 3, how much have you left? Well, the answer is 5. But my school workbook said, you have 6 bananas and you give 2 away, or you eat 2, how many have you got left? The answer was 4. But that was so interesting that my stuff, I gave it away or I consumed it and I was in a deficit, but he was always in acquiring because he was selling and investing. And even that word, when clients say to me, how much is it? I always say your investment is. I never say it costs. People like that word investment. So we need to have a different language about money because it's just energy after all. And we do need to believe that we're worth it.
So I want to dive so deep into this, especially the difference between knowing it logically. Like my father used to say, money doesn't grow on trees all the time. And I was like, well, paper is made from trees. So therefore money is, right. I'd be that little kid. But,
Yeah.
my parents did not make a lot of money. And so I know I was pre-patterned for a long period of time. So logically knowing that is one thing, and knowing whether the beliefs are still, active, I feel like, are another. How do you actually figure it out to be able to switch that, to actually install that
The
part?
beliefs are probably still active. You know, we learn half of what we learn in our entire life before we're 5 years old. And most of our beliefs about money are wired into us by the time we're 7, which is so extraordinary. We're poor, we're rich. People don't like you if you have money. People use you if you have money. You know, I don't just see people who come in from poverty with poverty. I see people who come in from money with this belief. You know, I worked with someone last week who was a millionaire, wanted to be a billionaire, and was completely stuck. And his belief was, if you have more money, then people will do bad things to you, because his parents used to say, don't tell anyone how much money you've got because you might get kidnapped. Don't tell anyone there's a safe in the house, because if people know we have a safe, they'll rob us. Don't tell anyone that you've got this or this or this. So even people that come from wealth have this fear of, nobody will like me if I have money. You probably know, I'm sure you do, that 70% of lottery winners will go bankrupt within 3 years. Much more likely if they've come from nothing. And I've worked with several lottery winners who went from nothing to many, many, many millions of pounds or dollars. And they all said the same thing. I didn't like that money. I didn't know who I was. You know, I lived in a little community, and then I bought a big mansion, and the people there didn't like me because I was new money. And the people I left behind thought I was stuck up and posh. And if I went out with my friends and I paid for things, they'd go, there you go again, showing off. But if I didn't pay, they go, you expect us to pay? You've won the lottery. Why are you so mean? And, you know, one of my clients said that when she won the lottery, the first thing she did was to buy all her nieces a laptop and a telephone. And her sisters called her in and said, stop showing off. You're undermining us. How dare you do that? And she said, I thought they'd love it, but they were so upset with her for buying stuff for their children that they couldn't buy. So it's all relative, but it sends us these funny messages. People won't like me if I have money. Spiritual people shouldn't have money. Good people shouldn't have money. Greedy people pursue money. And none of that is true. But so you learn these beliefs very early, and you have to uncover them. And the best way to uncover them, aside from doing a session of RTT, is to just sit down with a little pen or a paper and just write down all the stuff you heard. As I say this, I can hear my grandmother saying, we don't have money. We're not the people that have money. She would always go, oh, I'd love to go on holiday. I always remember taking me into a store when I was a little girl and saying to me, I wish I could buy you anything in the store, but I can't. Actually, I didn't want anything. I was so blissfully happy with her that there was nothing I wanted. But she was always in a poverty mindset, always switching the heating off, would always sit with one bar of the fire on in the cold. So try and remember what we happened when you go. Did your parents go, don't waste that? And we're not made of money. Who left that light on? Why is a door open? Did you notice that the heating went off early, that you ran out of hot water, that you weren't allowed to leave food because it was wasteful? And did you hear, money doesn't grow on trees? I can't find the money. You know, I worked with a really wealthy woman who couldn't buy shoes. And she said, you know, it's so weird. But then in the session, she remembered her mother used to have 4 jars. One was for the heating, one was for food, one was for bills, one was for school shoes. And when she needed school shoes, the mother would juggle the money around from jar, but cry because she didn't really have it. She was taking it from the bill money or the food money. And then as she was buying her the shoes, the mother would cry and get really worried. And so she could never get pleasure from stuff. I worked with Vishen Lakiani just before he wrote that book. And he was saying that what was so interesting is I took him back to 3 scenes. Code of the Extraordinary Mind is, but in the first scene, he was in the back of the car. His parents thought he was asleep, and they were taking him for my gift, and they were talking about how they couldn't afford this gift, that it was his birthday, and they didn't have the money to buy him a gift. And he said that when he got into the store, he didn't want anything, because his feeling was, for me to have a gift, it causes you pain. For me to have more, you go without. And now you set up a belief that I don't want stuff. His second scene was his lovely teacher at school, who everybody loved, who had no money and no wife. And then he thought, if spiritual people shouldn't have anything. And in his last scene, he'd forgotten his sports kit, and the teacher made him stand on a hot playing field for hours to humiliate him. And his message then was, if you draw attention to yourself, it's very bad. And he said he couldn't speak on stage and he couldn't ask for money. And within weeks of doing that session, his income trebled. He spoke on stage all over the world. So it's going back to have a look. I'll give you a very good example. I worked with a girl who was supremely gifted and had a business, but was never really making money. And she told me that she was Indian, quite affluent in the UK, but would go back to India every year to visit the family. And every year the mother would take her teddy, her doll, and say, give that to your cousin, or that little girl in the village has nothing. And she gave away all her toys. And she said, by the second year, I made a decision, I don't want anything. Because when people take my stuff off me, it's so painful. If I don't have stuff, you can't take it. And the amount of people that come in with that same story, if I have nothing, you can't take it. Another of my clients said he saved up money and his mother took it and bought 2 dresses. And he was so hurt. She didn't buy one, she bought 2. And he made a belief, what's the point of having anything? People take it off you and it's painful. Better not to have it. And so when you just open your mind to, what did I hear? What did I experience? What did I see? I know when I was about 14, and my dad was a lovely dad, but it was my birthday, and I'd asked him for money, and he actually threw it at me in the back of the car because I think he was so upset that I asked him. And I remember thinking then, oh, if you ask for money, you get humiliated. He didn't want to give me money. I wanted to buy these trousers, and he thought they were ridiculous fashion statements. So he threw the money at me. And I always remember that feeling of absolute shame. I don't have it now. I can ask for money very happily. But it's really, really important to look at, where did you get your money beliefs from? Who told you? And what did they know? Your grandparents had a different idea. You had a job in a factory. You were set for life. Nowadays, we'd never say to our kids, get a job. We'd say, monetize a gift, work for yourself, create something. If you are the top 20% in every category, in every field, you will always be busy. You know, my grandmother probably said, don't stick your head above the parapet, keep your head down and work. But I would say to my daughter, be the best. Market yourself. The top 20% in every classification will always be employed. And secondly, I'd say, find something people need. People buy what they think they need. You don't need the iPhone 10. You don't need coconut water or Lululemon leggings. You could get them from Target. But if you think you need them, if you find what people think they need, they love to buy what they think makes them happy. Everything you want without exception is because of how it's going to make you feel. If I have Lululemon leggings, I'll feel better than if I have leggings from Target or Ross or one of these stores. And it's not true, because a lot of people say, oh, I bought these in a car boot sale and I love them, because they feel good about the fact that they saved money, and other people feel really good with designer stuff. But everything you want, whether it's a husband, a child, a pay rise, or to go from $1 million to $1 billion, is because of how it makes you feel. And that man that I was taking from millions to billions was really scared that people would turn on him and not like him, because that's what happened to his grandfather.
You've been answering all the questions that have been in my head, by the way, which is amazing. So what I loved is the advice for your daughter. I have a daughter and I have a son. And what I listen to this, I'm like, oh no, how have I already screwed them up? And I don't know how, what is the best way to counteract potentially all the stuff that I did without realizing it for my children now at 9 and 12?
You don't look old enough to have even a 2-year-old.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it.
Here's the thing with children. You can never get it right all the time. And when you get it, you just go and apologize and just say, darling, today I was having a bad day, or, I'm learning just like you. And what I told you when you were 5, I realized isn't actually correct. I told you to work hard, work really hard, and then you'll make it. And that's true, but I want you to work smart, not hard. If you're not a naturally mathematical kid and your thing is English and art, then do that. My daughter, when she was growing up, her teacher said, she's so brilliant at English. She'll get into any school, anywhere, but she didn't because she wasn't good at maths. And she was really upset. I said, darling, you're an artist. You're an artist and you're brilliant at English. You're not meant to be good at maths. No one is meant to be good at everything. If the whole world was good at everything, if we were all brilliant chefs, we wouldn't have restaurants. If we were all brilliant dressmakers, it wouldn't be employed. If we could all garden, gardeners would go out of business. You're meant to be good at one thing, but you're meant to be really good at one thing. So be really good at art. But actually now I've realized that isn't enough. She actually has to be good at marketing. So I had to go back and say to her, that wasn't actually correct. You need to be amazing at marketing. If you have a gift, you can't market it, and no one knows who you are, where you are, what's the point? And when we train people in our TT, one of the huge parts of our course is phenomenal marketing. We have amazing marketers that come in that do monthly masterclasses because so many therapists or gifted people don't know how to find them. You could be an amazing Reiki practitioner or healer. If no one knows where you are, what's the point? Other people might be not as good as you, but they market. So just talk to your children. The best thing you can tell them is you have a gift. I know you don't know that, but you have a gift. The universe puts you here with a gift and a unique skill. And when you find out what that is and monetize it, you'll have meaning and purpose. You can only really be happy doing what you love. I believe that people who do what they hate are miserable. And what you're meant to do, funnily enough, lies exactly behind and is connected to what you love to do from the age of 7 and 14. So Jo Malone, for instance, she spent all her childhood picking up roses from the garden and making little lotions and potions. My daughter would use toilet tissue and make little outfits for her toys, and now she's quite a successful designer of clothes with slogans on them. I was always writing stories, and here I am a writer. So have a good look at what you love to do in the key age of 7 and 14 or thereabouts. Ask your parents. One of my clients said, it's so funny. I asked my parents, said, you're always doing puzzles. And here I am a strategist. So isn't that weird that my whole childhood was doing puzzles? So find out what it is that you love to do then. Look at how you can market that. But then as well as finding out what your gift is and your skill is, you've got to have tremendous drive and ambition. And you've also got to have phenomenal self-belief. If you don't believe you're the best, who will? If you rang up Gordon Ramsay and said, Gordon, I'm coming to dinner at your restaurant, is that any good? Any good? He goes, it's freaking amazing. He would never go, well, we have good days and bad days. Can be good. You could be lucky because you think, well, I'm not going there. If you're going to take your child to a school, you go and say, what's this school like? What are the results I can use? And go, this is an amazing school. Give me your child for 5 years. I'll give you back a well-rounded, happy, just kid. Right, I'm going there. Go to a doctor and say, I'm very ill. Can you help me? If they go, I do my best. I don't know. I hope so. I'll try. That's not the same as someone going, I am the best specialist for acne in the whole of Texas, and I'm going to give you perfect skin. Or I am the best person for allergies in the whole of America, and I will fix you. We like that. It's immensely reassuring. and actually deeply sexy too, to be confident. And if you don't believe in yourself, you're going to have a hard time having clients believe in you. But if you have self-belief, ambition, know what you're meant to do, and have a drive and a desire to do it, you can be unstoppable.
Do you think that's innate, or do you think it's something cultivated?
No, it's not innate. I have many, many clients with no self-belief whatsoever, or have a product and they're terrified of even taking it to market, who wrote a book and put it in a drawer for 10 years, only to watch someone else take the same idea and make it work. And when I wrote a book years ago about aging, someone said, I wrote the same book as you. And then, oh, you got it out before me. She said, I wrote it 6 years ago. So why didn't you publish it? I was worried I might be rejected. So the fear of rejection, that's innate, the fear of rejection, because if you cast your mind back 700 years, you would die of rejection. We lived in tribes. Safety was a numbers game. If they didn't like you and you messed up and they cast you out, you wouldn't live. We marooned difficult sailors. We put difficult people in isolation. We banished and cast out people who didn't conform. And often they died. And even if you didn't die, living in isolation was a kind of living death. So the innate thing is our fear that you might reject me. I might write a book and you might go, oh, I hated it. I might go to speak and people won't even clap. I might get booed off the stage. I might open a restaurant or go bankrupt, and the shame. So that's the innate, the fear of being rejected. When you take that away, then your life can be extraordinary, because the truth is you don't die of rejection. And also nobody can reject you without your consent, which you never have to give them.
I know, it's our own criticism. So how do we counteract the criticism in our head?
That's fairly easy. You have to not let in destructive criticism. You have to listen to your voice. So for instance, when I wrote my first book, I'd never written a book. I had no idea how to write a book. I was quite young. And it was quite isolating to write a book too. But I had a real motivation to write this book. I was a therapist, and I'd got my daughter into a private school, and I was working very hard to pay the fees, and I could do it. But I noticed that in private schools, all the kids, they go skiing and they go swimming with dolphins. And I felt really uncomfortable that for me it was school fees or holidays. I didn't want her to feel different. That is also the bane of your life, to feel different. Because if you're different, guess what you get? Rejected. And if you're the same, you get connected. And I remember thinking, I really need to find a second income stream. And it was writing a book. So I wrote this book with the motivation, this will give my daughter the same as everyone else. And now I look back and think, gosh, what a stroke of luck that was. If her dad paid for everything, I never would have written those books. I would have just sat at home thinking, well, can you send me a check? It forced me to move to a new dimension. And the great thing about your mind is that when it moves to a new dimension, it never, ever, ever goes back again. You could never know what your potential is, because as you move to your potential, it moves and it moves. And your potential expands as you move towards it, which is a great thing. But when I wrote that book, I had to keep saying, this is amazing, this is phenomenal. I kept imagining going into stores and seeing the windows full of my book. And I kept saying, this book is amazing. Actually, when I got it back before it was published, I thought, well, actually, it's not that amazing. I can really see in the first 3 chapters that I've never written before. And then it picked up and it got better. But if I'd noticed that at the time, I would have given up. So you have to lie to yourself. It's what I call lie, cheat, and steal. Lie to your mind. Go, this is phenomenal. This is the best product on the market. People are going to love this. They're going to love it, love it, love it. Cheat the fear that goes, oh my God, what if they don't like it? And steal back the confidence that you had as a child. If you say to a 2-year-old, can you sing me a song? They will. My little stepchild used to always pretend to be on X Factor. I could go on sing, and he'd come out and he'd sing and he'd dance, and totally uninhibited. If I said to him now at 14, do that, he'd go, oh, please, you're so embarrassing. Because when we're little, we don't have the fear of being rejected. Just go to a park or a pool and you hear every kid going, Daddy, watch me jumping in the water. Look at me, watch me. notice me. They never go, don't look at me, I'm having a really bad hair day. I've got these triple knees and I'm a bit fat and I've got milk spot. My tooth's fallen out. They give you a big guppy smile and think they're gorgeous. So you got to lie to your mind, cheat it, and steal back that self-belief that you were born with. It's your birthright. It's innate in you. You've just covered it up with all these beliefs like, oh my God, you might not like me. My product might fail. And if your product fails, you'll learn something else that will make it right. You learn. I mean, I look at my first book and think, it's preachy. And after that, I wrote like I'm talking to people. I wrote in a much more friendly language rather than I see my first book was a little bit scientific, a little bit like it was written by a type therapist, if you like, full of medical. And it's not that bad. It's actually very good. But my next books are much better because I wrote them like I was having a talk to a friend. So I learned from the first one. There's no such thing as failing. You learn something.
I love the simplicity of everything that you're saying. And I know it's already been time and I have to start wrapping up, but I want to have you back on the show because I feel like diving even deeper to this. You've opened up so much. Of course, everybody has to check out your site, marisapierre.com, but also you have an I Am Enough whole program that I'll definitely link to and all that fun stuff. But I'm going to ask you the last question right now, and then I'll have you promote whatever you need to promote at the end because I love you. What is one action listeners can take this week to help move them forward towards their goal of 1 million?
Okay. First of all, I'm going to probably wrap that up in a couple. Do not let in the belief that you can't do it. You see, the way you feel about everything is only down to two things: the pictures you make in your head and the words you say to yourself. And what you must do is to fill up your mind with good pictures and good words, but you must believe you're worth it. So if you want to make 1 million plus, decide you're worth it. Sit down and work out what you're going to do with that money, and particularly who is going to benefit. The more people will benefit, the more reasons you have for making it. If you just want to make money to buy yourself great stuff, that's fine. But if you decide who's going to benefit, it will increase your burning desire to go out and make it happen. When you have a purpose for doing something, when other people are going to benefit from it, you'll be amazing. I mean, it's like the person who created penicillin, the person who created Dr. Barnardo's, the children's home. They both looked at the need and they filled a niche. So decide you're worth it. Decide you're going to benefit. Decide that people need your product and will fall in love with it. I mean, who would have thought 20 years ago we would pay for water? We'd pay for ringtones of phones. It's like, really? We'd pay for stuff we never would have paid for. We pay for someone to come to our house and teach us to exercise. A lot of money too, but we pay for stuff that makes us feel good. If you have a product that makes people feel good, or maybe it makes them feel safe, maybe you've got an alarm system, a security system, maybe you've got a product that keeps children safe. Anything you can have that meets someone's need to feel safe, lovable, good enough, or worth it, you cannot fail with that business. I mean, look at Spanx. It made women feel slim. And, Spanx is huge because she found a market. In your wedding day, you don't want to have all lumps and bulges. And there's so many things. I mean, hair serum, face serum, eyelash extensions, teeth whitening. I know that in the Falklands War, the war that went on.
Now eyelash extension is teeth whitening.
Take that away. Alexis found tooth whitening. So when they had the war in what is now Croatia, was Yugoslavia, a lot of women said something. They said the worst thing about the war, apart from people being killed, is they couldn't get hair dye. And without hair dye, they had grey hair, not blonde hair. We see so many women now in their 50s, and they look amazing, got blonde hair, glossy hair. And they said without the hair dye, they just felt old and sad. Who would have thought that hair dye was so responsible? But look at the people who came here and built nail salons, which didn't exist 20 years ago. So many things. I mean, Brazilian waxing. People feel good with that. They don't need it. It's not essential. Not many people get to see that. But when they say, no, I need it, it makes me feel sexy, makes me feel young. My husband or boyfriend loves it. There's so many things that we don't need, but we think we do. And that's the market in business. What do you think you need? But also you must know how to market yourself. We have a product called Build a Busy Practice that we haven't even trained about how to be successful. Take what you have to offer to market and make it phenomenal. So believe in yourself. Find a product people think they need. They probably don't, but if they think they do, it's the same. Have drive, ambition. If you marry together drive, ambition, talent, and self-belief, you will be unstoppable. I know that because I worked with a football team who could not win, and I made them all believe they were Vikings, and I dressed them up as Vikings. They wore Viking hats. The Vikings burnt their boats and said, our only way home is straight through our enemy. We win or die. If you go on the pitch of that win or die, you'll win. And they all won. And they said it was amazing. And they went from nowhere to the Premier League, and they stayed there, and they made history, and they became but they had to have that burning belief. My only way to success is straight through my enemy. I win at all costs. And in sports, no one says, oh, it's okay to come second. I'll go to the Olympics and come home with a bronze, because you don't remember who got the bronze. People who say winning doesn't matter haven't ever won. Winning is important. Winning an award. RTT last year won 13 awards in 6 months. I love getting those awards because the world was saying, I like your product. So don't be embarrassed about winning. Be a winner. It's a great place to be.
I absolutely love that. So appreciate it. Where can we find out more about your programs and your books and everything about you online?
So if you're interested in training in RTT, and it is an amazing life being a therapist and very lucrative too, then go to rapidtransformationaltherapy.com, and you can learn to do what I do, earn a great income, but also every day wake up and live a life with meaning and purpose. So go to rapidtransformationaltherapy.com. If you simply want to know how to really change yourself, go to imenough.com, because imenough.com has 8 modules. One of them is called wealth wiring. And we recode your wiring so that you attract wealth, keep wealth, attract more wealth, and have no issues about, I feel uncomfortable having money. So I'm Enough is a fantastic 8-module program that covers attracting love, attracting wealth, the secrets of success, how to work with your mind and have your mind be completely supportive. It covers everything. And then finally, we have marisapeer.com. And that site has many, many free gifts. In fact, at the moment, I believe we have a free wealth wiring audio. We have a free finding and attracting love audio. I think we have a free being orgasmic audio too. And I know in the I'm Enough, we have one section on that. We put it as an afterthought, but people say, God, I love that. I mean, now I'm having all these multiple orgasms. I look younger. I have more energy, because for women, orgasms are amazing. They reverse aging. They fight depression. They fight illness. So marisapeer.com for all the free gifts. imenough.com if you want to really develop every part of yourself. And rapidtransformationtherapy.com if you want to either find a great therapist or indeed become one. And it's a great life being a therapist. I would never do anything else, ever.
I love it. And we will link up to everything so that way you can check that out. Everybody, go check out Marisa Peer. Thank you so much, Marisa, for coming on the show today. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
If you enjoy this show, I would really appreciate your wonderful words of feedback. Go leave me a review. I would love a rating, whatever you can do in the time that you've got. I would so appreciate it.